Team D, our choice is South Korea. In our team, we have Cecilia, Saren, Maurice, Howard, and Cal. The first part is introduction. Firstly, the purpose of this assignment is to discuss how South Korea has been affected in the process of globalization and how to respond. On the other hand, this assignment will use the concept of international business to analyze the similarity and differences between Korea and Australia in the process of globalization and the implementation of the two countries' cooperation. As for Korea, South Korea is a highly developed free market industry economy in East Asia and the 11th largest economy in the world of nominal GDP. Moreover, Korea's citizen enjoys the world's fastest internet connection speed and the longest period of higher education in the world. On the other hand, South Korea is the fifth largest exporter and eighth largest importer in the world. South Korea is ahead of the world in many ways, including innovation technologies, cars, music, and entertainment, and so on, plays an important role in globalization, especially in the field of electronic technology. South Korea electronic giant Samsung and the US company DreamWorks Animation have further cooperated to support the globalization of Korea. In recent years, South Korea has been making great effort in cultural output, tourism attraction, and technological innovation, and has made great achievements in globalization. In summary, this essay will combine the concept and the measure of the international business to analyze the influence of Korea in globalization and the economics and cultural differences between Australia and South Korea. Further, it will also focus on the trade in which Australia can cooperate with South Korea. The first question is whether South Korea is the winner or loser on result of globalization. To begin with, South Korea is generally a winner in the process of globalization. On the positive side, South Korea has achieved large-scale development and growth of its own economy in the wave of economic globalization. These are inseparable from South Korea's good establishment of globalization strategies and regulations. Those well-established laws and regulations also attracted foreign investors to a certain extent. Providing a lot of capital inflows to South Korea also helps to reduce unemployment rate. In addition, Samsung in South Korea has been seeking cooperation with foreign companies in recent years, become a member of Korea globalization process. Additionally, globalization has some bad influences on Korea. The biggest drawback of globalization is that it has caused a cultural disintegration. In the process of globalization, the rural population in South Korea has plummeted, leading to protests not only by many locals but also by non-profit organizations. The influence has greatly affected the image of globalization in the heart of Koreans. This means that South Korea has to continue to seek a balance between work culture and its own culture. On the other hand, some institutions believe that there's too much regulation in Korea, including central and government interventions, that they are too frequent. This overly conservative and cautious intervention will greatly interfere with the process of globalization in South Korea.
I'm now going to introduce the economic development and the human development of South Korea and explain how this development affect Australian firms start doing business in South Korea. The first part of the economic development should be the nature endowments. As we all know, South Korea is relatively poor in nature resource endowments, and their mineral resources like coals, irons, are very poor in South Korea, and um, the raw materials are highly rely on imports. The next part should be the innovation and entrepreneurship. South Korea provide a good environment for entrepreneurs, even if the economy is still dominated by the tribals like Samsung. The environment is very good for innovation and entrepreneurship, as they are with relative low tax burden on the corporate sector. and generous subsidies for innovation, and also provide abundance of skilled labor. South Korea is also with a strong manufacturing base and control over vertically integrated supply chain, which allows for rapid incremental innovation. The next part is education. The Korean education sector has been expanded enormously due to the unusual strong parents' drive to see their children better educated. As we can see on the chart, South Korea is now pursuing education for creativity and high technology with a high quality lifelong education, which means Korea made a good progress on educational development. We can now have a look at the Gini figure. As it is shown on the chart, the GNI per capita on 1990, it is 5,000 something, and it continuously grew to 50,000 in 2015, which shows that Korea has a good economic development. As for the human development, Korea ranked 22nd on 2017, and in 2018 it ranks the 15th. And as we can see on this table, it was increasing dramatically from 2014 to 2017. For the life expectancy, South Korea is very high with around 80.6 years old, and the public expenditure on education and training in South Korea is very high with more than 4% of their total GDP. The country is also highly urbanized with around 83%. The income and wealth inadequacy of South Korea is going down, which is also a favorable signal. Let's then talk about the Australia firm who want to start doing business in Korea. What I want to say is that South Korea's economic development is more important than human development to Australia enterprises in South Korea. The first reason is that as innovation and technology are one of the most important factors in economic development, South Korea has preferential tax policies and financial subsidies, as well as mature manufacturing and skilled workers. South Korea also has a strong position in technology such as Samsung and LG. So Australia enterprises have a great basis for cooperation with South Korea in scientific and technological innovation. Secondly, natural resources is also a key part of economic development that we should take into account. South Korea is a relatively resource-poor country and relies on a massive imports of raw materials. We, Australia, however, can export mining products such as coal, iron, and crude oil for South Korea. So starting a company we can start from the export side of natural resources, which is very good. In addition, education is one of the measurement of the economic development, and South Korea has made amazing progress in education, as I mentioned before. South Korea is increasingly seeking higher levels of technology and higher quality education. As Australia has developed educational resources and covers almost all fields, so the Australian business is good to set up enterprises in South Korea to seek educational cooperations. For example, the university cooperation and something. So consequently, The economic development of South Korea is what Australian enterprises should pay more attention to, which means the economic development play a more important role for Australia enterprises than the human development.
According to the perspective of cultural distance between Korea and Australia, they have been becoming more similar. There are two ways to prove it as education and religion. This statement are supplemented through real-life example and relevant theories. First, the cultural distance between Korea and Australia have been becoming more similar as they have similar education policy. Both countries have similar education policy in earlier childhood education. The Korean government launches Lyric curriculum, which relates to environmental education for the children who are 3 to 5 years old in kindergartens. This course focuses on education for sustainable development that relates to green growth education, which highlights the green life as saving energy. On the other side, Australian government promotes education for sustainability, which encourage kids to be responsible to society and also for the environment. It shows Korea and Australia have worked similar way in education. Environmental education may improve competitive advantage for Korea and Australia as they may produce more efficient stuff, which relate to environmental protection than other countries, such as more efficient solar cells. Therefore, the cultural distance between Korea and Australia have been becoming more similar due to similar education policy. Second, the cultural distance between Korea and Australia have been becoming more similar in religion area. Both countries have many religions and beliefs. In Korea, some people believe in different types of religions, but particularly in Christianity. There are around 80,000 Christian churches and almost 27,000 Buddhist centers in Korea. One of the reasons why people believe in Christianity is that Christianity provided education for women in olden times and encouraged people to struggle for democracy. In Australia, there are also many people believe in different types of religion, but also mainly in Christianity. According to the survey, there are many Australians highly support multiculturalism and diversity as they think this is beneficial for the society, which consists of people who come from different cultures. People can learn and gain a lot of knowledge from others. This can be favorable for the industry and the country as there are more and more ideas will come up due to diversity. As a result, the cultural distance between Korea and Australia have been becoming more similar due to Korean and Australian strongly support multiculturalism and diversity in their country. All in all, the cultural distance between Korea and Australia have been becoming more similar as they have similar area in education policy and religion.
I will introduce David Ricardo's theory, which focuses on comparative advantage. He argued countries should specialize in the production of those goods they produce most efficiently and buy goods that they produce less efficiently from other countries. Ricardo suggested there is a mutual national benefit from trade. Meanwhile, Ricardo's theory implies that comparative advantage is responsible for much of international trade. There is an example shows England have both comparative advantage on clothes and wine in this column. We choose South Korea, who specialize in the electronic industry, trade with other countries. According to research, South Korea's electronics industry ranked third in terms of production last year, while being the fifth largest market in consumption. It shows South Korea have enough ability to produce electronic goods efficiently. Moreover, gaming and entertainment applications of the products have further boosted the growth of South Korea's consumer electronic industry. Of the total electronic industry in South Korea, consumer electronic has around 67.3% market share, with a major adoption among the middle income and high income group population. To be more specific, South Korea is a technology-developed country and has a huge technology penetration in the country. With advancing technology, there is a trend of smart office and smartphone, and consumer electronics are vital parts of it, such as smart TV, smart refrigerator, and smart air conditioners. For example, LG Electronics has created Home Chat. It's an app that assists users to monitor their appliances. You can see this picture. Consumers can always communicate with their products on the phone to monitor their operations. This was introduced first in South Korea and then to other countries, making it a viable country for the test and launch of new products.
So it is generally acknowledged that Australia has a strong comparative advantages in the production of agriculture products. In the research, agriculture and its closely related sectors earn 155 billion a year for a 12% share of GDP. And farmers and grazers own almost 140,000 farms, carrying 61% of Australia's landmass. Yeah, it's so too much. So why Australia should specialize in agriculture processing industries? We will talk about two main reasons. One is the market opportunities. Actually, around 70% of Australian farms' production is exported. There are strong opportunities for food exports have emerged in the Asian region, which, with rising living standards and changes in dietary preferences, which create demand for more food and for wider variety. For this reason, processed food exports have increased on average by 10% over the past 10 years. In the other side, climate is a significant influence on Australian farm production. Productivity is expected to increase quite over the next few years because that the ending of the recent drought, which lasted around 10 years in some areas, so they will have a big impact on some commodities is very large. Just like this, for these two reasons, Australia should be a major agriculture producer and exporter. So, in conclusion, South Korea has overall been a winner as the result of the globalization. Even if globalization brought negative effects, it still has more positive effects, which will contribute to the development of South Korea's economy, and it's also improved the living standards and reduce unemployment. But for Australian economic development is greater significant to an Australian firm other than the human development. We also think about the South Korea and Australia has similar culture because of the education and religion. Just like we talked before, for the education, they both have the similar education policy in early childhood education. So, the South Korea have comparative advantages to provide electronic products to Australia, and Australia could export agriculture to South Korea. So these are our references. That's all. Thank you.